So here we have a two-stroke engine powering my chainsaw here, and beautiful summer day, and I don't really anticipate cutting any wood for quite a while. So I'm going to store this away, but I want it to be able to start nice and easy next time, or this fall, or if there's ever a windstorm or anything this summer, I want it to be able to start pretty easy when I want to use it again. So the first thing we do when we want to clean something up and for storage, we follow the manufacturer's suggested steps, which include thoroughly cleaning the machine. So I have a nice nylon brush here. I would remove the side panel here using the supplied wrench, and I'd want to remove any type of sawdust and oil deposits that have really started to really jam up or clog the ports on the side. So we can see that we have some buildup here on the side where I have not cleaned this since the last time I used it, and over a while this can get even thicker and hinder the function of the saw. So we want to inspect the side cover, and then we get in on the side where the bar and inspect our adjustment screws, and our main sprocket is all free of debris, and we can remove any with our brush or our screwdriver and make sure it's nice and clean before we store it. So that's really the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bar. And the chain. And at this time I would also take it off and sharpen the chain. There's many ways to sharpen the chain. And also inspect the drags on the chain. You can do it manually with a manual file and follow the appropriate angles on the guide, or method I actually use a jig that actually holds the appropriate angle with this small grinder, and I just remove a little bit of metal and keep my angles appropriate. To remove the drags on the top of the chain, so this is what prevents the chain from digging in too deep. It needs to be on the bar. But this gets set down over top of the tooth just like that, and this is drug over top, and it maintains the proper depth to keep it from either digging in enough or from digging in too much. So that's why we use a gauge for that. So first thing we did was clean the machine, and let me brush some of this away so we have a clean working surface. So the next thing we're going to do, and we're also going to clean the engine, because two-stroke engines for the most part are all air-cooled, and we want to make sure there's no type of oil or sawdust or anything in the fins of the engine, because that is how the engine cools itself, and we don't want it to overheat when we're using it. So those fins or cooling fins on the side of the engine have to be clean as well. So we've got the bar. We're going to sharpen our chain a little bit later. We're going to inspect the bar as well to make sure there's no worn spots or any type of sawdust lodged in it. And so next we're going to inspect several things. So we're going to inspect the air filter, we're going to inspect the spark plug, and we're going to remove the fuel. Before we started shooting, I've put in some engine treatment, and so what this is going to do is treat the fuel that's already in there. It was already treated. I personally I use a premix fuel because two-stroke engines require a blend of oils, so this particular brand requires a 50-to-1 ratio. A good thing with using this premix fuel is that it does not break down quite as fast as some of our pump gases. So since I don't cut wood every single day, that is something that I like to use. So next thing we're going to do is remove our gasoline, and there's a few ways to do this. I have a cup right here that I can pour it out into, and for small engines like this, it's sometimes the easiest thing to do is to pour it out, and we don't want to spill it. So the second alternative is to use a suction bulb like this. A turkey baster, just don't reuse it in your kitchen, or you can buy one like this that's actually made for automotive type of uses like we have here. But this sol is pretty easy to do. I'm just going to pour it straight out into our cup and dispose of it properly. There's a couple things we can do here. This is two-stroke oil in gasoline, so there's oil mixed in it. And so you could never put this, or you should not put this into a vehicle or anything that has a catalytic converter, because that can clog up the catalytic converter. However, it is summertime now, and so I can put this over into my line trimmer or hedge trimmers and use it there. Next step would be to remove our spark plug, which is located under this shield right here. I would take that spark plug out. I would inspect it. There are several things you can tell about a spark plug, about how the engine is running, if there's carbon deposits, fouling, or you can also check the gap of the electrode using a feeler gauge as well. Lastly, I'm going to remove and either replace or clean the air filter, what we have here, and put everything back together. And so this cleans out most of the engine, and it's about ready to go into storage. The very last thing I will do is, I've already dumped out the fuel, but there's still a little fuel left in this chainsaw. So lastly, I will start this and I will run it until it runs completely out of fuel, any fuel that's in the line and in the carburetor, until it dies. And that way I'm sure that it's completely empty of fuel and not going to cause any degrading over the next couple months. Find additional resources on our website, IndianaPREPared.org, our YouTube channel, and our Facebook.